Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It's Thursday, it's August 13th. This will be our last chart lesson for this week, none on Friday. We'll be back again to do it Monday, though. But in the end, today was a trading range day. There's pretty much two equal tiers here on both sides, um, with about an equal overshoot on each end, the high side and the low side. Um, We had some nice trends in both directions, though. What's interesting is this kind of set up like yesterday, and they made it look like it was going lower, and then it bounced. And you can see how yesterday they took it down before it bounced, and you got another leg down. And today we didn't get that. They made it look like it was going to start that up, and that's the way they do. They lull you to sleep. It makes it, look like it may do that same thing every day for a week or two, and then all of a sudden they'll make it look like it's going to do the same thing, and it does something totally different. So just keep that in mind. But we had a nice trend down and a short-term trend up. It looked like we were going to retest these lows, and we never did. It could be that I have this wrong. This may not be an upper trend line here. It may be that we've just got a trend line working down through here, and we got a break here and a couple of legs down to a new low, and then we reverse. So I'm not 100% convinced I got it right, but it looks pretty good here. It looks like a nice midline running through the middle. You can see it holding prices on both sides. So I'm not the only one that saw it this way. There's too much correlation to the lines for it to be completely wrong, but we really didn't get a close outside, and then it took off. But it'll do that on range days. So that's not to be unexpected either. So that leads me to believe this is probably the correct way, and we just couldn't make a new low because um, it looks like a range in here. And then and what happens when it leaves one side of the range? It goes to the other side. And then what happens when it gets to this side? It comes to the other side. Doesn't mean that it doesn't test it again. This was the first really close outside this one. Tried to test the high once, and then it tried it again, and it sold off. And so you had to be wary of this area right across here, because that is a range across there. It's strong. You can see it was kind of acting as support and resistance here, and then when it got back up here, it acts as resistance twice. And the same thing over here. Um, Notice it gapped across it right there. I talked about that the other day. Then it's acting as resistance. It finally gets through. It comes back, tests it again before it goes higher, and then then it's pretty clear where the range highs and lows are by that point. Especially, it wasn't real clear here, but once it touched a couple more times, it's pretty clear then. But you can see it splitting both sides, and you can see the midline acting. Once we got through. Now it's acting. It was acting kind of as resistance and support over here, and now it's all resistance, and it finally gets through, gets a little breakout pull back long, and heads higher again. So let's back out though, talk about the trades, and wrap it up for the week. But the first trade I saw, you can see prices are kind of swinging to both sides of the EMA here. The first trade I saw that I liked for a short was this big bearish bar, and it's right into these kind of lows, but really the last swing low is down here, and then the real lows are here. So, but this is a pretty big bar, so I liked using the limit order here, although it's okay to use a stop. You figure you're probably going to test this if we've gone into a range right here, which that's a possibility. But notice how we're making lower highs each time down through here. That's a sign that we're probably going to push lower. It's no guarantee, it's just a good sign, and that's a really bearish bar. And if it would have broke higher before it turned lower, I would have been all right with just going with a stop right there below those two bars. Those are two matching lows, so you got to be concerned about them. But what I liked was waiting on the break of your big bearish bar, because that's a good sign, and then maybe dropping a limit order back here where you would have originally, or maybe even trying to sneak in a little better, and it does pull back and fill you and then heads lower. And any runners would have been safe here, so you would have got a nice ride down. I don't see another entry till here, and this one's a little bit risky. The only reason I really even made this one green, I'll show you. There's a double top here, you can see this is basically a previous swing high, another swing high. This is like the double test, these two tests. But notice how you got these matching highs right across here if you move your line up. And you get that little one tick. And then this made a higher low, so I like that one. It is a little bit aggressive because we're not back to this side of the trend channel, but I wasn't 100% sure I had that right. And you see everything's turning down off of this one. So aggressive trader is probably going to consider that one. I think you're better off to wait till here when it tries to go higher again and traps everybody. It's not a great long trap, but it just confirms that when it breaks higher and turns down and closes real bearish, I like going short there because that's a lower high on top. That's like a double top pullback, and it kind of comes right off the EMA. And it's a little close to this one, but this is the one you're really concerned about down here. And that's exactly where it goes to before it kind of bounces and then pushes lower. Now and once you're down here, I don't see anything that, it's getting too risky to enter down here. Again, this is a first entry. It's not a real bullish bar, but it's not a really good signal bar. You could treat it like a breakout pullback short and consider taking it if you want to be real aggressive. And you definitely don't want to go short down here at the very low of the day because you see what happens. Even if it's going to go lower, it's going to bounce probably. But then you get a new low and you get a pullback. First entry, pullback. There's a second entry short right there, and it went higher first and then went out, and it looked like it was going to take off again. But if you held on, it kept on going down, and then it pulled back yet again. This one is real close to being green. But that is such a bearish bar, and it's kind of a repeat pattern to this one. And that's a big bearish reversal bar. And there is enough room to scalp out, just barely. And notice it just barely gets you out, and it goes a tick lower, and then it bounces. So that's why you got to be leery of those trades. So that one is borderline being green. And if you couldn't get in there without enough to scalp out, you probably had to reconsider. But then it comes back and you get a little double top here, and it's right off that trend line, and you get that big bearish bar. It is a first entry, but this is almost like if you look at the bigger pattern, there's one leg, pull back, second leg, and there's two legs in each one of those moves, and except for this one, which is a single leg. So that's almost like a two-legged pull back to the trend line, but notice what it is. It's a double test of those previous lows across there, and a big bearish bar. So I like that one, and there's plenty of room to scalp out. And this has been a big move down, so I really thought we were going to continue down, but it makes a new low here, and then it reverses. And it could be because some people saw this is the channel with already having a break, but a lot of times you can get a channel like this, and if you get a break in the overnight, it can get back in that channel, and you can forget that break or that close outside because it'll continue to respect the channel, and you got to get another break and retest. But I don't think that was the case. I just think this was a big range day, and we found too much support down here, and people thought the market was going to reverse, and that's what happened. So, but notice how this reversal happens here. You get that. Notice how you only go one tick, and you only go another tick. Usually, you're going to look on good moves. Look how it moves on down way past the last low, and this one barely goes past, and then barely goes past again. So there's a failed break lower there. You should have your little short-term support line right across there. You can see it there. And so you get that little failed break, and it reverses. I don't think you can go long there because you hadn't had a break of this trend line. But notice the new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. Notice how it went right through the EMA. That's what a reversal pattern kind of looks like. You got your first two swings. This confirms it. So I like that one for a long, knowing that this is probably going to turn back into support or try to turn back into support, and that one just takes off. And that's a big bearish bar. That's kind of what fools people. And, and somebody's going to inevitably ask me about going short there, I know. And the reason is because the way that EMA didn't show any resistance there. It just went right through it, and it pulled it. So this is a pullback. So you got to be leery of that. This is, in a setup like this, if you break lower and it comes back and makes a lower high and then gives you a second entry counting off this little high here, I might consider going short then, because I really did think we'd get a retest of this low. Our prices would attempt, and we did, but they just couldn't get there, and we reversed. Um, so I definitely like that for a long. And if you got trapped short there, that's your only real clue, is that you got a trend line working up, and everything shot right through the EMA. And that's what those little reversal patterns look like. That EMA is real telling, um, especially when it's already shot through right here. Notice how it did that kind of right here. So you've already done that once, and it shouldn't do that again that quickly, unless that's your first. You can almost, let me back up here. You can almost treat this EMA like a trend line. There's your first break and a new low, and then it shoots back through again. When you're trending, it doesn't shoot through that. Look how on the way back up here, it doesn't shoot through that EMA. You finally get one shot through. That's your break. Moves higher on a retest, and then it goes lower. So you can treat that EMA very similar, and I may not have talked about that much in the past, but that's one of the things I look for. Learn to study these reversal areas, what they look like. And that's the first clue, when it just shoots right through the EMA with very little effort. See, even here, even though it got through, it took some effort to get through. First time it bounced. The second time it tried, it took a little effort. And then it finally got through. Look at this one, though. It shot right through, pulls back, tests it, pulls back again. You get a failed second entry short. Definitely don't go short right there. And you go long, because that confirmed, those first two gave you your trend line. That confirmed it. And then notice what it did with the EMA again. Shot through, pulled back, went up higher again, tested it, held, and it goes higher. So that's real important. Here I just didn't see anything that was really, this is one of those areas where it's better just to stay out. There's no long that's set up here. There's a first entry long, but you're expecting a possible retest of the lows. So once you got this break and got that close to the highs, you need a good second entry before you want to go long, and plenty of room to scalp out. It never triggers. It just goes, and it didn't break higher, even though there's a little higher low right there. I just don't think you want to go short either, so just stay out of that. There is probably this trend line right here, and you get the break and a new low. So you got that going for you, but I just think notice how I didn't mark a long here until you got a known reversal, and I didn't go mark any shorts because we're swinging back and forth across the EMA, and it's just telling you that, hey, this is more of a trading range. Be very wary. And this is strong. This was resistance. Now it's kind of acting as support. Don't go short into that support, and you get a chance to go long. And then I marked this one green. Notice how it makes a high. It comes down. It goes back up. It comes down, and it goes back up. So there's a hidden second entry in there. That's a nice reversal bar. It's another bounce right off the EMA, right off the trend line. So if you see that and want to be aggressive, there's a reason to take that one. And then you almost get the same thing right here. But notice all those matching lows, and it breaks lower. That's like a little failed break out of this trading range, and that's like a reversal bar. It didn't quite close 100% on its high, but it could have easily. And so I like that one. And it's also a little breakout pullback long from this little area right here. And then we go higher and we pull back. And this was the first entry. We've already had a bunch of those here. You might risk it again. I probably should have it green, but I think we've moved too far. We're probably going up to here, and so there's some reasons to consider that one, but there's no real hidden second entry in that one or anything like that. I will give it a green because it's such a nice reversal bar, and it is bouncing right off the trend line again. You definitely don't want to go long in here, right into that resistance, right into that double top or resistance. And same thing here. You don't want to be going long there when you get all those matching highs and it turns down. That's a second entry short from here. And you've already had a break and it tried to go higher 3 times. It's a little aggressive, but it's a double top. Right where you would expect to see some resistance. It's away from the EMA. So you know you're not going long there. So if you're going to do anything short, and that's a little early, I think you're better to wait on the failed second entry long here. Notice it came down, it went right on through the EMA, pulls back, gives you a big bearish bar. That's where you're looking for something like that to set up again, a reversal. But guess what? It does go back one more time. And this time that's like the double test of this high. Look at those matching highs again. Little bitty bar. I think that one's worth risking. It is a second entry. Notice the new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. Um, so I like that one. I would have liked it even better if it would have ticked higher and then went out this bar at the same. But I think you're okay because it's the top of the trading range, and now you've tested it. You set it with this one, and that's a double test, so that kind of confirms it, just like it confirms a trend line. And so I'm good with that one. And that's really right into the 2 o'clock hour. That's real close. That might even be right at it. You can see it's just, it probably was 2 o'clock before it triggered. So that's really borderline at the when you should be cutting it off. But you see it turned out to be a great move too. So you don't know that it's going to give you all of that, but you figure it's probably going to come back and test these lows and probably the midline, and you can see where it went through, came back and tested. It's like a little breakout pullback. It broke lower, pulls back, tested, and it keeps going lower. And that took us into the close, and nothing much happened after that. So there were a lot of trades today. Pretty good trading day. It's a pretty good trend down, pretty good trend back up. This is where it got a little iffy and hairy, and notice they don't have anything circled in there. There's just not any. It's just one of those times where you need to be patient and wait. And there were some questions on a trade yesterday that we talked about where it was a failed second entry short down here somewhere. It was probably more similar to this, but it really doesn't look like anything across here. But what it was a double trap failed. I'll just find it over here. I've looked at it enough now. I know where it's at. It was right here. And at first, this is where the failed second entry came in and where the guy got trapped. But on my other chart, there was not a break higher here. This was all in one bar. So when I did the historical reload, this was not a failed second entry short. So that's why I got a little confused. But if you go look at my chart from yesterday, my live data, there indeed was no break higher right here. This was all in one bar. So you didn't have this little trap. And so this was indeed a failed second entry down here. So this data is a little bit different, but notice how there's two matching highs there. This broke higher, then couldn't go out. So by the time you get a chance to go short, you got three matching lows there. And so that's one reason it's a little bit dangerous going short right there. You've pretty much got, let me show you this. You got your first leg down, and then you got your second leg, and you've already got more than a measured move right there. And these two legs were a little bit clearer on my chart yesterday. So you got that going. There was this trend line working right up through here. And then there's another one working right down through there. And you do have a break and a move to a new low. And so you're going low short way down here after a pretty good move down. Two moves down. So it's just a little iffy. Look at all that overlap, right? This is really a trading range, and this is really a failed break lower. And it's real obvious on this chart. I don't know if the trading range was quite as obvious on the other one. I don't know if I put it on there. I don't think I did. But you can see that right across there. This is probably more down here. And you can see that's a trading range, and that's a little failed break lower, and you're going just short way down. It kind of looks like a breakout pullback short. So I can see how you could get trapped up here or tripped up. The short was right here. Even on my other chart, it was a littler bar, and it didn't quite break higher. It was kind of like a little inside bar, I believe, if I remember right. But that's where the short was. So you should have already been short And if you're already short, you don't end up looking to get short way down here because you've already got one and you're just getting out. And so that's about all I can say about that one. Otherwise, it's a double trap is what it is. And on that particular chart, this was the failed second entry short, and really and the question was they thought it was a long trap and they went short and they couldn't figure out why they got trapped. But in the end, this is a short trap. Um, it's kind of a double failure, and you see those occasionally. They're not very prevalent, but you do see them from time to time. And you know, it's just a double trap, and you got fooled again. And even a keen eye can get fooled there. But there's some reasons to reconsider going short right there. I tell you what, when this bar formed right here and closes a doji and didn't go higher, and closed below this right here and just closed as a in, now you know you got congestion. There's no if, ands, or buts. So just get out. Don't watch it go like that back up into the trading range and even break out the other side. And then it ends up failing out the other side and coming back down again. So that's a little bit different way to look at it. Um, and I think that's a valid way because there is a little trading range there. Look at all the, we're just swinging on back and forth, both sides of the EMA. It's real flat. There's a lot of matching highs, a lot of matching lows. So that's just a different way to look at it. But this is just a little double, it's a failed failure. That's what I usually call it, but it's like a double trap. And, that's one of the keys is don't go short. When you need to, you sell the highs up here and you buy the lows down here. And so it's just not a good place to be entering, period. So I hope that's clear. And that's about all you could say about it. Otherwise, you just got fooled like probably a lot of other people did. There's probably a lot of people that got fooled there trying to go short. But I was looking at the short earlier and didn't see it. So, and this same thing happened here. They trapped people on that short right there, and look at it go. And you know it was a trap. That's what shows you it was a trap, by that big burst um, up. And you kind of got a big burst down here, so you trap some people right there trying to pick a bottom. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again and do it Monday next week. Hope y'all have a great trading day on Friday if you trade, and I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com.